You may be seated. Well, this morning our message is a little different than usual. I'm about to step aside so you can hear from the personal testimony and experience from some of our leaders that are already living into God's vision for our future here. But even though the message will be a little different today with lots of different voices, it still comes from the same place, centered on our Holy Bible. So I invite you to hear these words from Isaiah chapter 42. I am the Lord, that is my name. I will not yield my glory to another or my praise to idols. See, the former things have taken place, and new things I declare. Before they spring into being, I announce them to you. Already you can hear some of the same threads that Isaiah announced last week, that part of our calling is to see the invisible in our world, the new things that can be, and to partner with God into launching that new creation. But today the prophet makes it clear that this is not just a generic calling or a calling for those who have gone before. The prophet insists that God's calling is present and personal. Hear this word again. Before they spring into being, I announce them to you. Today, you are going to hear from some amazing leaders and disciples in our church who have already given their personal touch to our launch campaign. They know firsthand why this campaign is so important and the new season that is upon us at Fairhope United Methodist Church. They have been praying about what God wants to do through them and through their sacrificial giving. So in just a moment, you're going to hear their stories, their testimonies, but I also want you to know that anytime you hear this, you are invited into God's mission, and that is personal mission for each and every one of us here. It's right there in the very first words of Isaiah. I am the Lord, that is my name. I don't have to tell you that there are lots of people that want you to carry their name. Brands, influencers, political parties, social groups, and advocacy groups ask hundreds of times a week for our likes, our money, our attention, and public support. Many of these things do great work, but God is at work all around us. And there is only one God, and there is only one name that is above all other names. So as you hear these incredible stories from these 5 friends, as you think about the unique and irreplaceable role that this church has played in your life, I hope you will come to believe that the personal experience of God that you are about to hear is not just good news only to us, it is good news to the entire world. And I hope you will ask, God, what do you want to do through me? And the answer will always come as a personal invitation.
Good morning. We are Chad and Caitlin Holmes here to kick off capital campaign discussion. Let's take a look at these beautifully designed campaign brochures. If you do not have one, if you came in a weird door or something, please raise your hand. We'll get a copy to you. Everybody good? Join me, please, and let's open to pages 2 and 3. We're just going to hit a few highlights here. This month, we're launching something important in the life of Fairhope United Methodist Church. As you look at page 2, you'll see the 3 purposes of this campaign: eliminating our remaining debt, investing in our endowment for future facility needs, and launching new ministries that extend our impact into our community. Others will talk about these goals in more detail, but what excites me about this campaign is really about creating more opportunities for ministry. It's about helping our church be even more effective in sharing the love of Christ for years to come.
Now look over at page 3. One of the most important questions on that page asks whether this gift is separate from our regular giving. The answer is yes. The launch campaign is intended to be above and beyond our normal offerings. Our regular giving continues to support the ministries and missions happening every day here at Fairhope United Methodist Church. This campaign is an opportunity to make a special commitment for our church's future. You'll also notice that commitments are fulfilled over 4 tax years ending in December 2029. That means this isn't a one-time gift. The extended commitment period allows all of us to prayerfully consider a larger impact than we might otherwise make.
And this church has done a capital campaign before, but since Caitlin and I have only been members here for about a year and a half, this is actually our first capital campaign. But before I say anything else, I'd like to thank those who have participated in campaigns and sacrificially given before us. As described in the brochure, decades of faithful generosity have reduced more than $6 million of church debt down to about $765,000 today. That's an incredible testimony of faithfulness. Families like ours are benefiting from that faithfulness right now.
When we moved to Fairhope a couple of years ago, we were looking for a church home. We weren't just looking for a place to attend on Sunday mornings, we were looking for a community. And Fairhope United Methodist Church became that community for us. Our Sunday school class, The Village, has been one of the greatest blessings in our lives. We've formed real friendships, had meaningful conversations, and learned alongside other parents who are trying to raise their children to know and follow Christ. For a family new to town, that's been a gift.
Our children have found that same sense of belonging. They love Sunday school. Our 6-year-old went to Vacation Bible School this summer and absolutely loved it. In fact, she came home every day with more stories, more songs, and more energy than we knew what to do with. And when I think about this campaign, I think about moments like that. I think about the ministries that changed our family's life in just 18 months. I think about the next family that moves to Fairhope and walks through these doors looking for exactly what we were looking for.
And that's why we will be giving sacrificially above and beyond our regular giving. Not because anyone asked us to, but because this church has invested in us, and we want to invest in the future of this church.
We're grateful for how God has blessed our family, and we feel a responsibility to give back to the community that welcomed us so well. We're especially excited about what debt freedom and a stronger foundation, endowment, can mean for future ministry. Imagine what God can do when more resources are directed toward people and ministry instead of debt and unexpected facility expenses.
So as you continue reading through the booklet and praying in the weeks ahead, we encourage you to explore the campaign prayer found throughout these materials. Lord, what do you want to do through me to fulfill your will for Fairhope?
And that's the question we'll be asking as well. We're excited to see what God does through all of us as we launch this next chapter together. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Joe Jones. This is my wife, Jennifer. We moved to Fairhope and joined the church in 2022 after spending many years in the Birmingham area. I work as a cancer doctor locally, and Jen is an architect. We have 2 teenage boys, Cole and Evan, who go to Fairhope High School.
Good morning. Again, my name is Jennifer Jones. Please turn to page 4 in your booklet. I serve on our church's board of trustees. 2 years ago, I took the reins as chair of the board, and it has been my joy and honor to serve our church in this way, but also a little daunting. This beautiful sanctuary was built in 1950. The education building was built in 1960 and expanded to include Wesley Hall in 1985. The education annex, which houses our nursery and our children, our peer hallway for our children, was built in 2003. And the Christian Life Center, built in 2008, houses our fellowship hall, gym, kitchen, and space for our youth.
You heard Caitlin and Chad mention that one of the goals of this capital campaign is to pay off the church's debt, which is the mortgage on the CLC. Currently, $220,000 of our church's annual budget goes toward paying this mortgage. If we reach our goals with this campaign, this money would then be redirected toward expanding our ministries.
So when construction on the CLC was completed, the building was commissioned into active service, and it has done just that. If you walk the CLC on any Walk into the CLC on any day of the week. You'll hear the dink of pickleballs or the dribbling of basketballs in the gym. If you go into the fellowship hall, you'll have a delicious meal with friends, old and new, and you'll hear youth worship happening upstairs. This is happening all across our campus. This sanctuary is beautiful, sacred space. And the education building, their walls echo the stories of Jesus. We have been excellent stewards of the facility resources entrusted to us, maximizing their use for ministry. But the portion of our church's budget dedicated to facilities only covers operating expenses like utilities and insurance and minor repairs. There is no line in the budget for replacing an air conditioning unit or re-roofing a building. So large capital expenses like that require diverting money away from ministry with children, youth, and adults, or away from missions with those outside our walls. This campaign is designed to ensure that we never have to choose between doing ministry now and maintaining our buildings into the future.
Our endowment was established in 2006, but it's just now grown large enough to be able to distribute earnings back to the church. After paying off the debt, the second goal of this campaign is to grow the endowment fund such that the earnings pay for these major maintenance projects that our buildings require. This will help to keep our regular giving flowing into both ministry and missions.
Now, if you'll please flip to page 8, you'll see the third goal of our campaign is to give 10% of all campaign contributions to a ministry beyond our walls. Our church has a long and faithful legacy of being God's hands and feet in a hurting world. Just as our church will be blessed by the gifts given to this campaign, we want to bless others as a reminder of God's faithfulness to us. Joey and I met 30 years ago at the Auburn Wesley Foundation, which is the Methodist campus ministry at Auburn University. There, we were empowered to use our gifts and talents to serve others and to serve God's church. In every congregation we've been in since, we've given of our time and our resources. When we arrived at Fairhope United Methodist Church, all of this was already here because of the people and the generosity who came before us. The church welcomed us and gave us and our sons a place to use our gifts and talents in service. For these things, we are so grateful.
We want to join that legacy of generosity here at Fairhope UMC, but we also know that making a commitment like this requires sacrifice. I changed careers later in life and entered medicine at an older age. I will still be paying medical school student loans when our oldest starts college next year, which is daunting. So we do understand sacrificial giving is difficult. It is hard. But as an expression of our gratitude to those that have come before us, and as a commitment to the future of this church, we do commit to give sacrificially above and beyond our regular giving in support of this launch capital campaign.
Good morning. Everybody awake? Well, my name's Phil Webb, and my wife Teresa is out here. We've been in Fairhope approximately 30 years. I was actually at Canterbury Methodist for 25 years before that, and we've been here over 8 years. We've been actively involved in the finance committee, the ushering most of that time, and leading a Sunday school class for part of that time as well. You know, as we talk about this brochure, pick it up. Everybody pick it up right now. I want you looking at it. This is a beautiful work of art. Now, as you've just heard, we've gone through it here. Caitlin and Chad, Joey and Jennifer, as they went through, did you really look at it and read it? You know, what is this launch? It's an expression of our commitment. As you see on the walls, to love boldly, that's what we're doing here. All right, now I want you to turn over to page 4. They just talked about it. We got to eliminate the debt, invest in our endowment, launch new missions. Has anybody ever paid off a car, or maybe sent their last child to college, or their last child got married, and you think, whew, it's nice, wasn't it, Chad? So that's what we're trying to do, is pay off our debt so we don't have to keep worrying about that $220,000 a year that's going just for principal and interest. And sitting on the finance committee, Tom, as you know, every time we'd have a meeting, it seems like there'd be an air conditioner going out. There's about 20 of them at the CLC that was started over 20 years ago. And those things are not like your ones at home. They may be $20,000 to $50,000 a piece, and would you believe they've all overlived their life expectancy? That's what the endowment fund is for. We've got to get enough money in our savings account, and we've already got about $600,000. So let's talk about the number. The $3.5 million, you're thinking that's a lot of money? But we've already got $600,000 in there. If we raise, and we will raise the $3.5 million, that's our love offering, that is going to be enough to pay off our debt of $765 and have about $275 left and add it to the $600 we got left. Y'all know what interest rates are doing. If we've got 3.5% on that $3.5 million, it's going to generate about $125,000 a year, which is enough to have the maintenance of all these air conditioners, the caulking in the building. There's something always breaking. As Jennifer said, you know, the church was started over 75 years ago. Those people made a bold commitment. So what we're trying to do is to push it and pay it forward. We want to take care of what they've already built, and let's leave our legacy and keep it going. Now, let's turn to page 9. Everybody got their brochure out? We're going to read this together. We have faith that together we will give at least $1.5 million. All right, y'all read. You got to read with me now. We hope that together we will give at least $2.5 million. We would love it if together we gave $3.5 million or more. So we just explained how that comes about. Now, my job is to help go through the numbers here. You know, you've already heard about the who, what, when, where. Well, I'm the how guy. We're going to talk about how we're going to do it. I'm looking out at some faces that I know could do this, and one commitment of at least $250,000. I think there's some in this room could do more. Maybe 2 at $150, 4 at $100, 35 at $5. You just keep going on down the list. You know, as we've talked about it, this is going to be going over 180 Sundays, 41 months, or what's a big deal to me is 4 tax years. Some of you may in here know that when you start to write off your church contributions, that you get a tax deduction for that. Well, there's some people in here that may be in the 15% tax bracket, but I'll bet there's some in here that might even be in the 42% tax bracket between state and federal. So that's why it's important to understand that as you make your sacrificial giving. Think about it, it's going to be over 4 tax years, 26, 27, 28, and 29. So look at it like your 401k. If you were getting a 30 or 40% match, that's what we're talking about by being able to have a tax deduction. All right, let's turn over to page 9. We start out weekly. It could be at $10 a week, up to $100 a week, or $500 a week. And look to the right of how those numbers can add up over 4 years. That's what it'll take for us to get our love offering, to get it to the $3.5 million. All right, now look at the bottom of that page. It says gifts of securities, retirement assets, other creative gifts. As an example, you have a $100,000 piece of property, maybe a rental property some of you might have, and it's grown to be worth $500,000, and you're wondering what are we going to do about it? Well, if you gave the whole $500,000 property to our Fairhope United Methodist Endowment Fund, and then they sold it, you could avoid the capital gains taxes of 15 to 20% and get a full tax deduction on the $500,000, the fair market value. Jeff White and Michael and some others in the church can help you figure that out. So as we've gone through that, I wanted to share a couple of other ideas. We talked about this being sacrificial giving. A few years ago, when we were starting the Baldwin Family Village, I know I went out and looked at the property when we, Darren, there was probably 20 of us went out there and looked at it, and we came back and we had some organizational meetings and said, this is going to be a really important as to, it may have been the first facility like this in Baldwin County, where we could have women and children go there that had to leave home in the middle of the night and pack their stuff in a trash bag. And that year, Teresa and I had done some sacrificial giving, and my accountant said, Phil, do you realize that your 10% was on the gross rather than the net? I said, that means that Jesus gave it all. He didn't just give half. I said the first part of it, that's our tithe. But everything above that was our sacrificial giving. That year we helped put some money in the till to get Baldwin Family Village started. And I didn't know how important that might be. A few months ago I got a call. It was from an accountant friend of mine. I had shared with her how we got the Baldwin Family Village started and how we needed all the help we could get to get facilities, people involved, and things like that. And then she had somebody call me about 3 months ago. And this young lady started crying before we even started talking. She said, Phil, you just don't know how much that Baldwin Family Village meant. She said, I was that person. I was 30 years old. I had to leave in the middle of the night with a garbage bag with my kids. She said, now I'm doing much better, and I volunteer at Baldwin Family Village every opportunity I get. So that's what sacrificial giving can be. And I really believe that because of that sacrificial giving is why Teresa and I have 5 sons, 4 daughter-in-laws, and 8 and a half. We just found out. Our 2.5-year-old came over yesterday and had a T-shirt on that says, I have a secret. And on the back of his T-shirt it says, I'm going to be a big brother. So that'll be number 9. So that's why we're truly blessed. It's because of our sacrificial giving. That's above and beyond. And I want to implore all of you to step up with Teresa and I. We plan to do our sacrificial giving. Thank you very much.
I'm sure you can all see now why I'm convinced that God is launching something incredible through Fairhope United Methodist Church. It's because this vision hasn't come from a committee. It hasn't come just from one person. This is a vision that the one true God has been sending for a very, very long time. Not just in the hearts of the folks you heard from, but from the prayers and leadership and discernment from generations that have gone before. The church has always said that to be a member of this congregation is to take personally the task of loving boldly, and we have always been the place where God launches new mission and ministry that reaches the heart of our community. If you have any questions about any of this, the launch campaign, anything that was said today, anything in the booklet, I hope you'll stick around after the service. These 5 friends will be here to answer any questions, and I'll be standing right alongside them. And if we don't have the answer, we'll be sure to get it for you. And I hope that for the next few weeks, you will hold on to this guide that's been created as you pray and ask God, what do you want to do through me for Fairhope United Methodist Church? And however God answers the prayer, I hope you'll accept the invitation. If we pray honestly and earnestly, that's all that we can do for God to be able to work through us. And we will be able to say, they carry the Lord's name above it all. In the name of God, our Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. Amen.